This is what I think about Arch Manning. Even if he's not what he's billed to be, if he's not the top tier quarterback he's billed to be, he's bringing in highly talented pieces to go around him. And if he's not the guy, then another guy needs to step up and use those pieces that want to come in and play with Arch, as far as, a Niblet or Jonte Cook, Cedric Baxter Jr., Will Randall, all these guys that are coming in to play with Arch. Even if Arch is not what he's built up to be, guess what? They're on the roster. So that's the way I look at Arch. Even if he is a 3-star talent, it's worth everything putting into him to get what comes along with him.
And first off, let me say this. He's not a 3-star talent. If anyone watches him, he's athletic. He has a strong arm. He's accurate. And then you have to count this, guys. He has one of the 3 best quarterbacks that has ever played in the NFL in Peyton Manning. His other uncle is one of the 30 best quarterbacks ever. So he has 2 guys at the quarterback position who are top 30 in the history of the NFL at their positions. 2 of them to take from. And he's got the athletic ability from his dad, Cooper, who was the most athletic of the Mannings. Plus, you have Archie Manning. So you have all this wisdom being poured into him, all this football intellect. It's really hard for me to sit here and say he's going to be a bust. Could he be just good? Yeah, I could see that. I think there's a pretty close to 0% chance he's just a flat out, this guy can't play in college.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that he's going to be whatsoever, but I'm saying even if he doesn't pan out, look at what he's brought with him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I would agree if you don't think he's the number 1 overall prospect or one of the 10 best prospects to ever come out of high school, that's fine with me. But is he a 5-star recruit? Yes, I believe that.
And that's what Sark does. Well, exactly what you just said right there. I think he's going to get developed well at Texas. That's what Sark turned a 3-star Mac Jones into a first-round quarterback.
And you've seen that with Jake Locker, who was not great at Washington before he got there, developed him, became an NFL player. Not a good NFL player, but he became an NFL player, 1st-round pick. You have Matt Barkley, guys like that, Matt Leinart when he was the QB coach. So all these guys, you can say, oh, they weren't in the NFL, but they were good in college. They got developed and they got to the NFL because of Steve Sarkisian. Now, what they did in the NFL is another thing. Like, those guys have not been great, were not great in the NFL, especially Jake Locker. That guy was abysmal in the NFL. But
man, he played for my Titans, and it was miserable years.
Yeah, I think he had like a 54 to 55% completion percentage. He was basically a running back at quarterback. I do agree. Sark is a hell of a coach. I don't know. Offense coordinator, yes. I think he's also a good person. I don't know if he is a great coach yet. Well, that is to be determined. Hopefully he's able to again, we see these dips, guys. Like, Alabama played great. Tech didn't. West Virginia played great. Can we just play at a certain level? If you just want to tell me that we could play our B level game the rest of the year, I would sign up for that, because right now we're going from A- to B+ type games to freaking Texas Tech where we play like a D game. So just be consistent at like a B level, and I think we'll win 9 to 10 games.
It's very plausible to believe that. Sark recruited Bryce Young. Yeah, I believe he flipped him from USC.
It'd be interesting now if Lincoln Riley was the head coach. Do you think that would happen? Because I don't. I think Bryce Young would probably stay at USC.
I don't know.
I think it's funny that TCU's offense coordinator, I did not know this, was Lincoln Riley's brother. That's very funny.
Yeah. Must run in the bloodlines there too.
Yeah. It might, man.
I know listening to Oklahoma fans, why
Brock, but the problem is we lost D4 again. He'll probably be back. 2019, yeah, but the thing is that's still a loss. And the thing is, in that game, and I agree, we're playing with our backup quarterback, one, and he's hurt, but that's only one game. I want to see consistency. That's the biggest issue that we've had with Steve Sarkisian here and with Texas just in general coming the last 12 to 13 years is we don't have consistency. We don't play our B game or A game all the way through the season. You will have 5-6 games where we'll play our D game, 5 or 4 to 5 games where we'll play a C game, and then we'll have 1 or 2, maybe a year where we'll play an A game. And those are usually the big games. Those are usually 2019 LSU comes to mind. This year versus Alabama comes to mind. If we could play to that level consistently throughout the season, Texas has the talent to play with anyone. The problem is consistency, and that is the biggest thing. And we'll keep preaching here on this channel. You'll see other channels that talk about Texas preach that. You'll talk about how we don't develop as well, and that's the two biggest thing is development and consistency, and that's what we don't do. Yours look great, man. We played so bad. I was very disappointed in Alabama. I don't think you guys played that I mean, you guys didn't play great. I would agree there, but I don't think you guys played terrible. I think Texas had a lot to do with that. I think, like I said, we also played up front. That's the best game we played so far for our offensive line. And if we do that consistently, again, there's that word. And Quinn Ewers has the talent to push that ball down the field and find the open receivers. And we have really good wide receivers to expose teams down the field. The issue is up front. Do we have the time to do it? And do we have the guy that's the trigger man that's willing to push the ball down the field, but not only that, make the completion? I think Quinn Ewers can do that. Hudson Card in his career has not been able to do that so far. He's been more willing lately, but he still hasn't been able to complete the balls down the field. The defense did look great today. They also looked good versus Alabama. They looked, like I said, very similar in those two games to where they're flying around, hitting the guy with the ball very hard. And there's a lot of them doing that when they come to the ball. They hit him with meaning, and there's a lot of them doing that at the same time. But the issue is we don't do that consistently. Again, keep saying it. We didn't do that versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech had a lot of short passes, and then they would break tackles. And because we didn't have 3 to 4 to 5 guys coming to the ball. Brock, yeah, Card is good. He can run. His biggest issue, like I said, has 3 biggest issues: pushing the ball downfield and completing it, his anticipation skills, and his footwork. His footwork has been fine. I think that's fixed. One is his anticipation has gotten better. It hasn't been great, but it's gotten better. I think that's going to be fixed at some point during the season if he continues to play. The deep ball, I don't know if he can continue, if he can get better at. He's been here long enough. I feel like that would have been figured out, but maybe not. Maybe it's more reps, more times, more games played. And if he can get that figured out, then I think we really have a QB a situation on our hands to who do you start, Quinn Ewers or Hudson Card? Because there's positives to both. Hudson, like you said, can run a little bit more than Quinn, but Quinn has the better arm, can push the ball downfield. And I think that's needed in the Steve Sarkisian offense, but we'll see. And I think a lot of that is going to be put into Oklahoma next week. If he can go in to the Red River rivalry, play really well like he did this week, and we win that football game, I think there's a really good chance that Hudson Card is the starting quarterback going forward at the University of Texas. I think eventually, Brock, we will be a contender for the SEC. I think our recruiting will get better just because we joined the SEC. I think we'll get a little bit of a bump there. I think, especially in the trenches is where we need it, especially defensive at this point. I think our offensive line is pretty set going forward with the young guys that we have, especially Kelvin Banks, again, has played great. He's probably our best offensive lineman at this point. Cole Hudson still needs a little work. Christian Jones isn't great. He's okay, but he'll be gone after this year, so it'll be very interesting.